Regularly, I get emails from people about random questions that they want to know more about. Sometimes it's questions about me, about the podcast, or about Shakespeare related questions. They'll ask me about history, the plays, or whatever. Sometimes they just let me know about the latest things that are going on in the Shakespeare history sphere and they think I would find it interesting, which of course I do. But I thought that here on YouTube would be a great place to answer and respond to some of these questions and emails that we get. So that's why we're starting this new series today called Community Questions, right here on That Shakespeare Life. One of our regular listeners to the show and a patron of That Shakespeare Life, Corey Field, thank you, Corey, so much. He has sent in an article on Icelandic dogs. This was posted in The Guardian, and I'll put the link to the article down below so you can see it. But officially, the Icelandic dog has been recognized as a breed by the UK Kennel Club. Now, why in the world does this matter to Shakespeare history, you may ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. The Icelandic dog is actually a breed of dog that was not only in existence for Shakespeare's lifetime, but Shakespeare himself mentions this breed by name in his play Henry V. Pistol is quoted saying, "Pish for thee, Icelandic dog, thou prick-eared cur of Iceland." Now, obviously, Pistol here is insulting his companion, as calling anyone a cur is like saying, "You dirty rat," or looking at them and saying, "You low-down dog." You know, you're insulting them. It's an invocation of a less than reputable animal to cast a disparaging light on whomever you're flinging that particular phrase at the moment. Well, it turns out that this is actually a pretty inaccurate invocation of an insult, at least when it comes to the Icelandic dog, because according to the UK Kennel Club, they describe this dog as exceptionally friendly. They're also considered very smart. They're used to herd animals in Iceland, including the Icelandic horse. Now, I don't know about you, but I think if it can herd a group of horses and be exceptionally friendly at the same time, it's no wonder Shakespeare knew about this dog in England over 400 years ago. In fact, the breed of dog itself is actually very old. It goes back over 1,000 years. It's believed to have been brought to Iceland by the Vikings and is related to dogs in both Norway and Sweden. It's one of the very few breeds of dogs who can actually trace its lineage pretty directly through archaeological evidence and textual references from history, which makes me surprised that it took this long for the kennel clubs to recognize it as an official breed, but apparently they have their own rules about what constitutes an official breed, and I'm not going to go into that. But it is related to Shakespeare. Now, not only did Shakespeare mention this dog in Henry V, which was written around 1599, but earlier than that, in the 1570s, a physician from Shakespeare's lifetime named John Caius, who we do cover on the podcast, and I'll link you to an episode about that if you want to know more about him in particular, but he wrote a ton, doctors wrote a ton in the 16th and 17th century, but in some of his writings, he references the Icelandic dog, which means that you can trace the breed then to at least 1570 because he's talking about it. Now, as I mentioned, there's other textual evidences that go way back further than this, and I will let you explore those. But that's how they know when and where the Icelandic dog was located and how we know that it was a part of William Shakespeare's life. Now, the breed itself went through a whole lot of ups and downs throughout its history over the centuries, and multiple times the breed has been on the brink of extinction. The American Kennel Club would recognize this breed as an official breed in 2010. The UK Kennel Club didn't recognize it as an official breed until 2024. At that time, the Icelandic dog was not eligible to compete, but I'm hoping that eventually we will see it, kind of honored. I think it's a really cool breed. But if you see one out and about, the Icelandic breed, you'll know that, hey, that's a dog from Shakespeare's lifetime, which is pretty cool. If you'd like to learn more about Elizabethan breeds of dogs, be sure to check out our podcast episode all about Elizabethan breeds, not just the Icelandic Sheepdog, but several others. I think we had dozens at least of breeds that we could identify for you that are from Shakespeare's lifetime and the Elizabethan period. So I'll place a link to that and the episode on John Caius down below. Thank you, Corey, so much for this wonderful community question. If you have a question, comment, or tidbit of history you'd like to know more about, or if you just have a question for me and you're like, hey, Cassidy, fill in the blank with a question you might have, go ahead and message me and let me know. I would love to hear from you, and maybe your answer can be featured on our next episode of Community Questions. I'm Cassidy Cash, and I hope you learned something new about the Bard. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.